Okay, so have you ever like totally lost it at yourself?
Mm.
And I mean totally lost it
Oh, yeah.
over something so small, like you forgot your keys or you missed a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
We're going deep on that today.
Okay.
Our guide, GEEZY 333, second Schultz.
DC 3333. That's
Correct.
so. I'm not familiar.
Yeah, you and me both. So we're going to be unpacking his YouTube video.
Okay.
And it is wild, but there are some good points in there, believe it or not.
Yeah.
He's not your typical self-help guru. Let's just put it that way. He brings up quantum physics, for crying out loud.
Quantum physics and self-help, that's a new one.
Right. We had to wade through some stuff,
Okay.
but we found some, like I said, some real nuggets of wisdom.
Okay. So what kind of wisdom does GEEZY 3333 Seckles have for us?
Okay. So he starts off, he's telling the story about forgetting his keys, and he's on a walk, which relatable, right?
Yeah.
We've all been there. But instead of just brushing it off, he has like a full-on meltdown.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Really lays into himself.
Yeah.
And let's just say there was some colorful language involved.
Okay, so we're talking next level inner critic here.
Oh, yeah. Big time. And he even calls it personified external negativity, which, I don't know, I kind of like that.
It's very descriptive because it really does feel like that sometimes. It's like this voice that's separate from us, judging us, criticizing us. But, when I think about it, GEEZY 333 Stichel, he's onto something there. Because a lot of these negative thoughts we have, they didn't even start with us. They come from somewhere else. Our past experiences, things we were told as kids, even just the messages we get from society.
It's just not even really us talking.
Right. Like we're carrying around the baggage of everyone else's opinions on top of our own stuff.
And it's like he goes deeper.
Okay.
Way deeper. He starts talking about this duality of self, which sounds so complicated.
Oh, boy.
Right.
Yeah.
But then he throws in this Eckhart Tolle quote, "I can't live with myself anymore."
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which I thought was so interesting.
Yeah, that's a heavy one. But he's actually getting at something really important there. I think once we break it down, it won't seem so complicated.
Okay, good, because I need it broken down. So what's he talking about with this whole duality thing?
Okay, so imagine this. You're having one of those days.
Oh, yeah.
You know those days, right? You spill coffee on yourself, you miss the bus, everything's just a mess.
The worst.
Right. And that voice in your head, it's like, you're so clumsy, you can't do anything right, that whole routine.
Oh, no, that voice way too.
But here's the thing. There are actually two yous in that situation.
Wait, what?
Yeah. There's the you that's like actually experiencing the day, the one who spilled the coffee and missed the bus. And then there's this other you that's like judging all of that, the voice in your head, delivering the commentary.
Oh, okay. So like one me is doing stuff and the other me is just criticizing.
Exactly.
I think I get it. So it's like, I could be like, hey, inner critic, I hear you, but you are not the boss of me.
Yes. And recognizing that there's a difference between those two parts of yourself is super powerful. Like realizing you're not just your thoughts. And GEEZY, he takes it a step further. He connects it to this desire to escape the ego. That version of ourselves that we create based on all those external pressures.
Yeah, he talks a lot about like society and how it pushes us to achieve all the time, buy more stuff, be more successful. Like that's the key to happiness, which it's so not.
Right. And that's where that inner critic just like thrives, it grabs onto those insecurities, that feeling of not being enough, and just runs with it.
And we just get so caught up in trying to quiet that critic, right? It's like we think if we just achieve this one more thing or buy this one thing, that it will finally be quiet.
Totally. But it never really works, does it?
No.
Yeah.
And then we just end up feeling even more stressed and never good enough.
Yeah.
It's like, what's even the point?
And I think that's what GEEZY's getting at. It's like all that striving, all that chasing after stuff, it's actually taking us further away from like who we really are.
Okay, so we've got this negative self-talk. It's coming from all these external pressures. It's feeding our ego, and it's keeping us stuck in this cycle of never feeling good enough. So how do we break free? Because it's exhausting.
Well, this is where GEEZY 333 Official brings in quantum physics.
Oh, no, not quantum physics.
I know. Bear with me.
Okay.
So he's talking about how awareness is kind of like this quantum field where all these possibilities exist.
Does he even know what that means?
Okay, to be fair, it is a little out there, but I think what he's trying to say is that, instead of getting so caught up in those negative thoughts, what if we just like observe them,
Observe them.
Yeah, acknowledge them without judgment, and then we can let them go.
Okay, so not necessarily trying to argue with them or fight them or anything. Just kind of like watch them float by like clouds or something.
Yes, exactly. And that's basically like mindfulness in a nutshell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being present, being aware of what's going on in our heads, but not letting it control us. And, the cool thing is when we can approach our thoughts that way, with that kind of awareness, it creates space for something else to come in.
Okay, but what comes in? Please don't tell me it's more quantum physics.
No more quantum physics. This is where he brings in gratitude. And you know me, I can never resist a good gratitude moment.
Okay, gratitude. So instead of like getting sucked into that negative spiral, we're switching gears, focusing on the good stuff. How's that supposed to work, according to GEEZY 333 official?
Well, he describes it as like a conscious choice,
Yeah.
like we're actively shifting our perspective. So instead of focusing on what's wrong, what we don't have, what we're afraid of, it's about finding things to appreciate. Could be big or small, right? The people in our lives, a beautiful day, a good cup of coffee.
So it's kind of like we're changing the channel in our brain.
That's a good way to put it, like switching from negativity central to something a little more upbeat. And the best part is the more we practice gratitude, the easier it gets.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like anything else, the more you do it, the more natural it becomes.
Exactly. And it's not just about feeling better in the moment, which is great, but it actually like rewires our brains over time.
Oh, wow. So it's like we can train ourselves to look for the good instead of automatically going to that negative place.
Yeah. And when we approach life from that place of gratitude, it really does change things.
Like you're wearing a new pair of glasses or something, right?
Yes. Everything seems a little brighter. And that inner critic doesn't have quite the same power.
Because it's not about making it totally disappear, is it?
No, I don't think so. It's more about how much power are we giving it?
Yeah.
Right? And you know what goes hand in hand with that? Self-compassion.
Oh, yeah. That's huge.
GEEZY doesn't specifically say self-compassion, but I think it's there,
Yeah, it's kind of woven throughout.
It's about being kind to ourselves because, we're all works in progress,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
We're all going to make mistakes. We're not perfect. And sometimes that means cutting ourselves some slack, being as understanding and forgiving with ourselves as we would be with a close friend.
Yeah, like our best friend just had a bad day. We wouldn't be like, oh, get it together.
Right. Right. We'd be there for them.
We'd offer support.
Offer support. And that's what we need to do for ourselves, too, because we're all in this together, right? We
Yeah.
all have that inner critic. And the more we can approach it with that awareness, with gratitude, with self-compassion, even with humor sometimes.
Yeah, be able to laugh at ourselves a little bit.
Exactly. It makes the whole thing a little bit easier to navigate. So, to wrap things up, what are some key takeaways for our listeners from GEEZY 333's official and his unique brand of wisdom?
I like that unique brand of wisdom. I'm going to steal that.
Go for it. But I think for me, the biggest takeaway is just how powerful awareness can be. Like just noticing those negative thoughts without judgment, it can make a world of difference.
Yeah, just that first step.
And from there, we can start to challenge those thoughts, reframe them with a little gratitude, and ultimately, hopefully, cultivate a more compassionate, a more empowering internal dialogue.
And maybe, just maybe, lay off the quantum physics a little bit.
Maybe just a tad, but hey, you never know where inspiration will strike you. So next time you're, really in it, remember GEEZY 333 official. Awareness, gratitude, a little quantum entanglement. Why not?
It's funny. Sometimes the best advice comes from the most unexpected places.
It really does.
That's why we love a good deep dive.
Until next time.